www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we hoped you to always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun, permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand, defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first hour of the Afternoon Intelligence Report. I'm Mark Hornke. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, southwest, north, northeast, and south. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to us on Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, Liberty Tree Radio on YouTube, live feed on the Liberty Tree Radio channel, and we are on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and UltraNet, Hallmark, and Golden Spike Technologies east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good afternoon to all of our friends out there in the lower 49, including the great state of Jefferson, along with the lower 49, or forgive me, the 48, which is CONUS, the outlying two states, territories, and the clock. It is 5:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is Thursday. It is the 1st of October. Oh, my goodness. It is the 12th year of open Fabian Socialist and Soviet Socialist occupation of America with a K. 2020 Old Earth Calendar, 2020 Year of Conflict, Year of Battle, the Dance of Swords, Battle for the Republic. Congratulations. And busy, to say the least. Didn't get as much done as I'd like today. Got a few things done and out of the way for everybody, first of all, who is waiting for a site. Even last night, if you ordered a site last night, it is now on the way to you, so keep an eye on your mailbox. Everyone, no matter who you are, no matter which person. Now, let me know. In fact, give us a heads up. Send me a handshake over at liberty@provide.net. Just put rifle site and thumbs up, okay? And I'll get an idea who's who. But some of you did order multiples, and in fact have anywhere from 3 to 4 coming. Some of you should already have received those in the mail today, as a matter of fact, or yesterday at least. If not sooner, it depends on distance there. But plug one in, hook it up, fire it, let us know, sight it in, put it on a 22. That's actually a cool, quick way to be able to train. Sandbag it and sight it in, and then give us some feedback. Everybody so far that we have had do that has liked them, so I don't see any problem. Now, as of today, again, what we have, we're still going to be offering for $23 a unit. I'll give you the full on that again in a minute, but I would point out I would not be surprised if, as of today, there is a price increase after the next batch when I need to buy, if I need to buy more. And we've been doing this in increments of about 30 or 40 and 24, 30, 40, depending on which batch. And they've all gone out real quick. But the big problem is, again, there was a window for the pricing on this. So it is possible that there may be a little increase. We will let you know. But in the meantime, we're going to try and make sure we make this the most affordable project out there. And for what it is, $23 for an Axion red, blue, green dot sight system. And if you would like one, I might as well do this now because we're early in the program here. So grab your pen and paper. And what you can do is go to www.libertytreeradio.4mg.com. When you get to www.libertytreeradio.4mg.com, then you go to the donate key. There's one on the right, or there's one in the middle, top of the page, and then go to donate any amount. Now, let us know how many of the sites you want. Also, again, make sure that you put a mailing address on the order so that we can identify where to send it. Everybody's been doing a great job. It's, I think, pretty straightforward. The forms are for actually doing stuff like this now, the way that they've reformatted some of the stuff with PayPal. So for all of you out there, if you are interested, go to www.libertytreeradio.4mg.com. And once you get there, then go to the donate key. It's on the right side of the page, right in the middle, or at the top in that bar, right in the middle. And you can't miss either one, really, but it's donate. Is that Italian? Donate. Or is that donate? Or donate. But anyway, it's the donate key. And when you do get there, it's donate any amount. Please make sure you identify how many you want. I think it's $23 per unit. And also a mailing address. We've got to make sure it's a viable mailing address so that you get the package. A lot of you are using P.O. boxes, so it'll be sitting there waiting for you probably, I would assume, which is cool. And we do like them. They're an all-metal sight. Nothing to write home about because they're so simple. I mean, it's really straight tube, red dot, blue dot, green dot option. There are 3 settings in intensity for each one. So you can go right around the dial and go from red with low, medium, high, or blue, low, medium, high, or green, low, medium, high. And you have full adjustment for point of impact. We have windage and elevation. It's just like a regular rifle scope in that respect. Very small. These are a very small package, a little bigger than some of the other ones I've seen out there, only because they put more of an armored bonnet on it. I like that part of the design because anytime you can put some rubber baby buggy bumper space on an optic, it's a good thing. Several of the other companies have done that. Others have streamlined, and part of that is to bring weight down anywhere they can, because the AR-15 M16 rifle, by the time you're done with all the gunk and junk they're throwing on now, hell, you're up to the weight of an M14. I think it's really comical. It's like, people are like, oh, you gotta have an M16 because the M14, that was originally the argument. The M14 is so heavy, it's like, okay, this rifle's got a whole pile of junk on it, and not all of it really is critical, but, you know, guys, it weighs a pound more than the M14 does that I've got that's ready to roll. Wait a minute. So, anyway, it's just one of those little points. I mean, that's why they're doing some of this the way that they are. They're trying to go the other way to bring weight back down again. And, of course, one of the other options is plastic, but these are not plastic. These are aluminum. So they are very well made for what they are. And I like them. Again, we do have another scope on the horizon, but I think it's going to be sold out before I can even get to it. I'll know more about that today. One of the other companies did get one of the other wholesalers got some optics in, a 4-power scope. But I may or may not get it. We'll see what happens. If we do, I've got a sample, and I think it's serviceable, then we might follow through on it. But if not, not going to worry about it. Only because it's the quantity they got in was far less, and it means it'll get eaten up quickly. Only about 500, 600, maybe 700 pieces is all that they had. And I noticed that there was a chunk that disappeared while I was surveying the site, so people already figured out what those are. But these are in stock. Everybody's got what they want. So watch your mailbox. That's the only thing I ask. Let's make sure we get them on the weapons as quick as we can, or put them where they're supposed to be, or get them to your friends if that's what they were for. Don't let things pile up. Get it out, tactically dispersed to the farthest point down the chain that we can. That should be your rule with everything. Don't let it pile up. I've got stuff that I get right here, right now. I would like to have had it gone 2 days ago, where it should be spread away from where I am, because I have plenty of the same thing in terms of tools, hardware, and machinery. And I have plenty of tactical support redundancy right now, so I don't need it all piled up here, and I don't normally. But especially some of the machine shop equipment we've been getting. Duplicates in phenomenal quality machinery, and some of it ancient. But it's still better than anything I've got, anything that I could go out and buy today. It's amazing when I look at some of this stuff. Anyway, so again, that's the Axion red, blue, green dot sight. It's a straightforward, straight tube. You can look it up. The Axion systems runs about $50, $45 to $50 a unit right now. They've gone up a little in price. Ours are the same, $23. I'm going to stay that way for the next 30 pieces or so. We'll see what happens. Hopefully there isn't a price change, but we'll see. And if that does happen, we'll pass that on and let you know. It'll only be a little bit. It won't be that much, I don't think. Of course, wishing one hand, defecating the other, and see which one gets full first. You know how that works. Now, otherwise, been a beautiful day, but right here where we are, it's kind of bluish above, but we have cumulonimbus clouds to the north. We have a mountain range to the west. We have looks like another mountain range to the south, and then another one over Detroit. We are in a hollow here. It's rather interesting. So, and that happens. But what's interesting is, again, hey, we're in luck. Well, double plus good on that. It looks like for the moment we don't have a change. So somebody just sent that to me. My wholesaler sent that. You might be listening, as a matter of fact. That'd be kind of cool. So I want to say thank you. And that's to support the network even. How do you like that? that's very nice. However, unfortunately, the product quantity count is right in front of me, and it's way down. So whoever gets there first gets there first. Just that simple. Anyway, wet weather, guys. This is one of the things I wanted to mention. If you go over to Sportsman's Guide, a couple other sources, I bought out one of the Gore-Tex lines that they had there. I couldn't pass it up. Popped up on the screen for $3 a unit. They didn't have very many. I picked them all up, and those are in the boxes now in the command post. But there are a number of other really nice rain sets, not necessarily in all the sizes. I mean, in other words, if you're really, really big, you might get it. You're really, really small, but it looks like the in-between sizes are kind of vacuumed up. But go to Sportsman's Guide, www.sportsmansguide.com, and they do have a number of different top and bottom sets. One is an ACU. It is in extra large. I think extra large is the only thing they have left, to be quite honest, which is weird. This has been happening. But it says it's an ACU. However, I've had a couple of examples, and it doesn't have the bright gray in it. It has more of a gray green with the gray sage green that you see with the usual ACU. So it doesn't stand out like you would see with the other ACU cloth and gear, depending on where you are. The neat thing is it's subdued enough, it really would work well even into the fall season and would be good into the winter. So there's a couple of units that are over there at Sportsman's Guide. Also, some of the Italian stuff has come in again in terms of the woodland, but I do not know what the price is. And if it's Gore-Tex, it's going to be like, oh my God, you have to sell your firstborn male child to be able to afford that. Not really, but it's almost like that, okay? I don't go along with that. The Gore-Tex is nice, but they have almost everything in the system has doubled and tripled in price in ways that it's, gouging at the farthest end up the feeding chain, where the stuff first is produced. And it's getting worse. I will point out our dollar has been devalued. Nobody wants to talk about that. Trumpet and the Democrats and Republicans will create all kinds of tempest in a teapot, pickle smoke and mirrors, lots of green pickle smoke, and I'm great and powerful, blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is that where our currency has been devalued overseas, our purchase power is not what it was yet again, and it's reflected in how you buy things. I need 10,000 uniforms for a militia formation. They need 3 uniforms per. You do the math, and they actually want more. Tried to do a 10,000 count uniform deal. Price wasn't bad, but the shipping, by the time we're done, grossly outweighs, and it shouldn't. It should be fourth class. It should be surface freight. It should take 5, 6, 10 weeks to get here. We wouldn't care. But instead, it's like everything is being treated like it's going to be air freight, and it's not. It's coming surface. So that's the other scam. That's how they're pulling more digits out of the United States. It's also why in the surplus industry, I've had a lot of people asking, why the hell are the uniforms so expensive? Well, once you got it all overseas, they can charge whatever they want, and guess what? They are. NAFTA and GATT. We warned everybody. NAFTA and GATT. We warned everybody. NAFTA and GATT. We warned everybody. In fact, the Patriot Movement and the militia were 100% correct in what they warned everybody about. And you're stupid because ABC, NBC, and CBS and CNN said that all of us patriots were stupid. And now all of you are hating on ABC, NBC, and CBS because they're lying about Punkatrunk. Good old punk Trump, okay? So it's like, well, really? So do you think they weren't lying before? Oh, no. They were, yeah. See, so this is arbitrary and capricious brain activity at the very best. So anyway, that's why the biggest problem is trying to find anything. The closer it is to the ground, the more expensive it is. There are some deals on boots, but as far as pants and lower clothing, on the legs, it's like, my God, it's like 2 and 3 times the cost of a blouse. I can get blouses all day, shirts in the surplus end. If you go look at the industry. Go right to Sportsman's Guide, compare prices. You can, tops, I can put you in green, even some camouflage for a few dollars a unit. And remember, I'm looking more for fatigue uniforms. I need stuff that'll get clothing on troops to keep them from their bare butt hanging in the breeze. I need just something to get over their, cover their carcass. For the longest time, you could do whole sets, top, bottom, and even get a fatigue hat, probably be an odd size. But you could do it for a reasonable price, and then mix and match all the parts and pieces where they belong, and put an army together pretty quick, and or have good clothing. The other direction we're probably looking at here is municipal, which is not a problem. In fact, a lot of the stuff you're seeing that is being used right now in the two big wars that you'll see a lot of imagery from. One is the Ukraine, the other is Syria. If you look, you'll see when you watch the troops that are going in the field, well, the woodland camel is real big in Syria. One of the things is these weird cut uniforms. They're well cut, they're well made. What they are, they're municipal workers' clothing. They look very stylish. They actually are, it's amazing there. It's like, wow, man, they put them in a really nice pot, but they're still potted plants. They put them in really what are well cut and decent pieces of equipment, clothing-wise. Well, it's becoming the in vogue thing overseas, and it's kind of catching on here. So a lot of these weird, where you have black patches in weird places, those are like trash workers' uniforms overseas. Those are like street sweeper uniforms. You wouldn't know it. I mean, they look really cool. They look space age. They look like they should be on a starship. They had or starship like space infantry or something. Well, they do. That's why everybody's using them, because they wear well. Their price is right, cheaper than anything else out there. And the fatigues and uniforms are going stupid. The last big gasp that we're probably going to see in reasonably priced clothing like that is going to be the Austrian stuff coming in the next wave right now. There is also a little bit of Swedish. And if it does come in, actually I have seen the wholesale, and it's the only thing I've seen that actually I would look at right now and seriously buy bulk on, because we're looking at maybe couple dollars or $3 a pair for pants, which is unheard of right now. You can't find anything like that. It'll be OD green. There'll be, again, mixed sizes, but also in the larger size range, which is really cool. So we'll see. Like I said, if I find it like that, we're going to just clear them out. However many thousands of units it is, we're going to clear it out, and it'll go to the people who need it. And then they will, they'll cover the cost accordingly. But that means that they'll have that much more in the way of digits to spend on medical supplies, weapon systems, all the other stuff they need. These people are buying APCs. They're buying spare parts for APCs. So, they got resource, but mostest for the leastest is what you need right now. Another thing, watch resale shops, like resale stores. There aren't many in our area here. Most of them are shut off because they're so paranoid of the corona beer virus BS, and they've talked themselves into their own spiral downwards to destruction, that any of the others that are open are swamped. Well, the cool thing is that there is a lot of neat stuff coming in. You only have to make one or two stops, and you can see everything that's there. Six-pocket fatigue pants, I don't care what they are, brown, even black, although I don't like black, but you can re-dye those. There's other things you can do with them. Actually, what you do is bleach them out a little bit. And you can fog up the color so you can create a camel pattern. That would be another consideration. And six-pocket pants, no matter what they are, I'd be buying everything if they fit you, and they're a few, like $1 a pair, you get a deal, grab whatever you can. Another thing is just regular four-pocket, Docker-type fatigue pants. Again, they're cotton polyester blend. They are generous cut. You got to be able to move in the field. They also mean if they're baggy cut, which is really good, that means you can put your cold weather gear underneath them. Everybody needs to remember you're going to be living outside, so clothing, as much as anything, you need stuff that's going to wear and tear. Oh, by the way, they do have colors that really would work well. You even run into white pants. You can put snow camel kits together pretty cheap. Now, for the moment, there is actually a little better deal on that. If you go over to Sportsman's Guide, they do have snow camouflage pants, brand new. I think they're Swedish or Norwegian. Basically, it comes to under $3 a pair, and they have them in extra large, or large, extra large, and even extra large. In fact, they may only have extra large and 2X. That's fine, because remember, the snow camo's got to go over all your cold weather gear. If you're wearing snow pants and you're wearing whatever else, in the way of gear, and you still got weather clothing and long johns underneath, whatever you're wearing could be, sweats. Well, those are pretty baggy and bulky, so you need bigger to go over everything. Okay, remember, you're not trying to look, svelte and strapped. You are trying to cover all the rest of the junk you're wearing to keep yourself from freezing to death in these classic Michigan and Midwestern and Northern winters we have in a battlefield situation. So that is a good thing. So take the time, go over to Sportsman's Guide. You'll find what I'm talking about. There are several bundle deals that they have right now. I've gotten them. They look good. There are 2 or 3 shades of white. Who cares? Because that's kind of good. It breaks it up anyway. One, most of them are one like stark white. Others are more into the cream white, which, I don't know, take your pick, throw the dice. They're going to get dirty in the field anyway, so, they'll look good by the time you're done. Whatever the hell a fashion statement is for a battlefield situation. Anyway, other things real quick here, socks. Now, I've also mentioned that Sportsman's Guide, but also Allegheny Surplus. A couple others have got some bundle deals going. Go look to see what's there. Another company that did just get a bunch of interesting stuff in, again, because they're all different parts of the country, is Major Surplus. And Major Surplus has got, I would say maybe, they do have, they've got a couple of different poncho deals right now. They do have those Turkish reversible, and that is a good snow pattern on one side and fall pattern on the other, so fall to late summer, browny, dusty. But take a look at it. It's with leggings and arm gaiters, and $19.95, $20, and it's reversible, so it covers 2 seasons at least. Okay, if not 4, because you're going to use it because it's what you got. So that is over at majorsurplus.com, www.majorsurplus.com. And also they did get a bunch of other stuff in that they were bragging about here in the last day or two. In fact, I just got a notice last night. They've got some other surplus that came in. Remember, they're on the left coast, on the west coast over the Rockies. That part of the planet gets stuff that the other parts of the country don't necessarily see. And this is true of different pockets around the nation when it comes to surplus, manufacturing, etc. So if you're over on the other side of the Rockies where Major Surplus is and Swiss, you might want to check to see what they had come in the last couple of days, because there have been some interesting surplus items that are definitely worthwhile. And as a matter of fact, hold on here, let me see. Somebody just sent me another flag. Thank you to Randy, who just did the same thing. He went over to Major. The other thing that Major has had on and off for you guys on the other side of the Rockies, again, I'm talking to the very left coast, okay? They do get MRE stuff in, but some of it they don't list because they do have a store. So if you are in the area and you can actually leap on that, you might want to take that into consideration. Okay, I see what they're talking about. Thank you. And again, for Robert, just sent me a little notice here on that. Yes, they have French camo tri-laminated parka, genuine surplus, and these are $70 a piece. No, $69.95. That's $70 a piece. Okay. But what they are, these are like the Dutch combat coats. If you're not familiar with them, they have 3 layers of protection, and that's why they're calling, tri-laminated parkas. There's a number of different designs that are out there, and this particular one, although it's pricey, let's see, they only have extra large. That's the only size they're showing, and they got these from one of the wholesalers, probably, again, down towards the middle of California. So I'm going to look at another source to see what the price is, but for what they are, if you're doing woodland camo and you are looking for a windless / windproof coat, basically that's what this falls into niche-wise. A lot of guys that are using the extreme cold weather gear are looking for, especially here in Michigan, Wisconsin, North Dakota, places like that. This is the kind of stuff that really, really, really works well. And it's in the woodland, which is what everybody's, if you're outfitted the way a lot of units are here, woodland is what they're committed to. And I would point out, if you can look at this, the CCE and French woodland camo patterns are so close to the American, no one's going to know the difference, which means that all of your existing inventories will blend well. If you got stuff that's getting tired, you can still roll it into the guys who are, hand-me-downs who don't have anything, and work it out that way. Now, another thing that they do have, they've got Czech M95 camouflage trigger finger mittens for $10 a set. that's okay. And again, look at the pattern. It's the check woodland. It's a little brighter than they show in that image, I will tell you that right now, but comparable, and it's in woodland. Now last, otherwise there's other stuff that's kind of pricey, my attitude anyway. They've got Dutch canteen covers. Well, actually, canteen end cover Dutch for $6. They're new, new inventory. They include the chemical cap on the canteen. Okay, so for $6, if you're looking for the NBC canteens that go along with certain NATO gas masks, or again with gas, PPE systems, check it out. See whether or not that makes sense for you, and then run with it that way. But
hey, Mark.
Yep, go ahead, caller. Jump in there.
Oh, this is Hal again. I just wanted to hit real quick. I got some of those Turkish ponchos in, and eventually here I'll give you some dimensions and stuff on it. But I just wanted to say that they're worth $20. They're huge. I don't have dimensions yet. The gaiters are strong enough. I can't wait to test them out harder.
Right.
But
excellent.
I'll send you an email to provide or something when I get the dimensions. But they're worth $20.
Do a picture. Here's what I'd like to see, because the problem with color with photography is how it works. Whatever they're doing in a studio, they can change it up a little bit. Lay it down on the ground with the green, the green brown. It's kind of like a green brown, right?
Yeah, it's arid kind of. Oh God, I don't have the words right now. I'm cheating. I'm on the job.
More Tropitarn. You like the Tropitarn range, like for again, brownout season right now, especially. You guys got to be getting it within your area. It should work pretty well.
Yeah, the trees are starting to change. It's going to get down and might get a frost tonight, but it's still pretty green around here. But you're not going to be out in the middle of the woods anyway. I mean the field anyway.
Well,
it's. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, lay it down and do a digital of the one side, and then lay it down, fold it inside out, and do a digital of the other, so I can get a kind of a color range. On the ground is fine, because the grass is going to give me a good base. But, the other thing is experiment. Take it into the tree line, like you're saying. The white range is, for me, that's going to be perfect. As far as I can see, I don't care what, variation. It's got a little bit of a gray, it looks like. It's got a white, and it's got that brown dapple through it. That's good for Michigan, because you're going to be in all kinds of mixed fields and conditions here. We got swamps. Go ahead. One
thing I'm curious about, because it does have a little bit of a sheen on it, so I wonder how light hits it. I haven't had that time. We're going into harvest and stuff, but the other thing is, the arm gaiters, they're just elastic ends and reversible. Either way, they didn't do the ends so it would be that color. So you flip it over to the arid side, and you're going to have stripes of winter on there, So they're set up for winter, basically. But the leg gaiters, I mean, they got a plastic coated cable for between your boot heel, and they're elasticized, I think, in two places. The only thing I don't like is a big line down the side that's hook and loop. And I don't like hook and loop. I'd rather have a zipper and, button over or whatever. But,
they wanted
for $20, man, you can't beat it. It's FedEx, so the shipping was a little bit high and they're slow. But,
well, one of the things to consider here, too, like I've said, a lot of people are looking at keeping stuff in the vehicle. One nice thing about this item is, remember, it's a camouflage item. If you had to put one thing in a vehicle, you cover 2 seasons, so you don't have to move stuff around. You've got a darker shade for most of the background areas you're moving through. You've got winter / gray out winter on the other side, which means that you really could just leave them in the vehicle and forget about them. But when you need them, even if you were wearing other clothing, think about this. You're covering the arms. You're covering the legs, which covers any sin. Let's say you're wearing red and you just were, you didn't carry anything else in the vehicle. At least you could cover yourself up and make those really, really bright colors disappear, which is the big thing.
Also, they come. It all individually comes in their own zippable pouch. That's reversible too, if you want to call it that. I mean, it's reversible material, but if it's set up for winter, design, but if you flip it the other way, you got a big white zipper stripe going across it.
Well, yeah.
But I thought it would be a lot less heavy duty than it was. It wasn't as strong as I wish it was, but it's not plastic, and you put it on, and I'm about 5'8", about 190 pounds, and I'm not fat, and I felt like a Viking sail on a ship, you know.
Well, remember, it's going over your gear too. Yeah, that's
yeah,
good.
and the back hangs down. Oh, I didn't measure it, but it's at least 15 inches from the back. So I just put it on once, and I checked out the material. It doesn't have it has mostly single stitching, so that's another downfall too. But I mean,
break out the sewing machine.
Yeah, you'd have, you know, but it unlike the Swedish or the Swiss, you know, that red stuff. I forgot what it's called.
Alpine, yeah, the Alpenflage.
Alpenflage, yeah. See, that I've used them lots of times, but they always got seams on the neck and stuff that always wore out. The only seam up there is where the hood is on, and I didn't find out if it'll fit over a helmet. It seems kind of small, but I'll check all that out. Hopefully I can get some of it done this weekend.
Here's a question. Does that have a veil in the hood?
It does. You mean on the front? On the
face. It has a veil in the face?
No. I'm sorry. No veil.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I'm noticing
it's got a like a, what do you want to call it? A visor kind of thing that folds up, and it's hook and loop. It flips over,
okay.
But, you know, so keep the rain off dripping off your face, I guess, or whatever. But no, just all it has is you got a bag to put it in, and it's a reverse zipper than the United States. You know, it's left-sided. It's for girls.
It's a girl side. Yeah, I was going to say it's for the girl side. The purpose behind it is because the girls were supposed to be assisted in being dressed. That's why the zipper is reversed like that.
Well, you could fit a girl in there with you.
Well, that too. Well, I think again, it's just so they accommodated the gear. You know,
It's like a big moo-moo.
Yeah, you're wearing. So if you're wearing anything else, you've got pretty well everything covered. It also eliminates a lot of the nooks and crannies if you do that. When it comes to
you need a pack on, otherwise the wind will catch you and you might be a flying squirrel or something. But the shoulders come out really wide. You don't really need the the arm gaiters. I mean, you can use them for something, but you might need them for something. But they're set up for winter, so.
I would still use it for, like I'm saying, for anybody who's listening, if you were looking to have a piece of camouflage to keep in the vehicle where you could cover everything, this is the way to do it right here. I mean, it's not that heavy a weight. And if you're going to be outside, I mean, it's like right now, we're going into wet weather. We're the only spot that's really not getting rained on right now. Everybody around us has got a storm going on. I mean, it's really quite dynamic. It looks like mountains to the west, mountains to the south. We got a cumulonimbus development up to the north, and over Detroit, they got something going on pretty nasty. But we're in a pocket here all around us. It's, blah. But that could dump on us in a heartbeat. And this is the kind of stuff. Yeah, this is what you want in the vehicle, just prepared for that right there.
I think we're about 8 inches behind on rainfall this year.
Well, that's just it. I think everybody else is catching up. We're not bad. We're green. Actually, we're the point where we should be drying up. You were talking about crops. We really wanted it to go drier sooner because we got, you've got oats coming in, you got wheat coming in. Of course, they did take the winter wheat. They got that. That's been gone. But the beans are getting ready, and you want them to get dry now. And we really did not have a dry August. Everything stayed green here. So
beans are green. They're starting to change, but the beans are ready. But I'm fixing on a combine right now. We're putting a chopper in, and the corn's at 20%. Well, it's good to go soon. There, as soon as we get the beans done, boom. After we fix everything again.
I was wondering about that. So your corn is pretty well in the notch then, ready to go, right?
Yep. It's it was 20% last week, and I think we had 286 raindrops, and they bounced around a lot.
See, I'm wondering about that. I think we're on the edge. We're like ready right now. I mean, the first batches, the first fields are, And the corn, the ears have dropped. The ears have, have dropped
yeah.
So it's ready to, as far as I'm concerned, it's ready to go. But who am I? Like I said, I used to run farm, at least rest my first job working on a farm. And,
I'm not a farmer. I'm a second banana.
Well, that's the whole point. Everybody has to learn another trade, right? I can tell you, learn to do everything, at least do a little bit of it. At least we won't starve, right?
It's just work. You just got to be good at work. Don't say that. It's a 4-letter word.
Now, the other thing here, real quick, with the, I don't see any of the other, actually, they do have the other ponchos. Somebody's asking, do they have regular ponchos at Major? They do, but the reason we're talking about this is it is a decent package. You've got one, so you've got us confirmed on that. But I just like the idea that if I can get one item to do 2 seasons for me, that's really handy, guys. Because you're going to get stuck a lot of times where supply is never going to catch up with you. You'll get your winter snow camouflage about the time summer hits. You know what I mean? That's how military supply systems work. So if we eliminate most of that issue by doing what we're talking about here, then we're going to have most of what we need from one season to the next. So just a little heads up on that. Plus, the stuff is good for working every day, which is what a lot of us do. And that's how you do the wear and tear test to see do you like it, or is there something that needs to be changed up a little bit, which is the other advantage of everybody. We're the test crew, right? You were just talking about the Swiss gear. You find out by use and what you like. Well, then again, if the price is right, you don't care anyway. When we first got the Swiss ponchos in, they were only a couple dollars a piece, and then everybody found out what they were, and the prices, step by step crept up to where they are now. So that's the only thing about it. But these for $20, then you've got me sold. Let's put it that way. I'm going to turn to somebody else and tell them jump on these and clean them out. If they're looking for a certain item, this is what they need. So works pretty well. And again, for vehicle stowage, I'm always looking for stuff where I can put a complete kit in the back of every vehicle, and you have more than one. Multiples are really nice. You're probably not going to be by yourself, guys. How many seats are there in the car? Granted, you can't carry 12 or 15 sets of something, but if you have at least 3 or 4 sets of whatever you need and it's lighter weight, then you don't have too much to worry about. Example, the paintball companies, remember about 4 years ago, they had these paper Tyvek camouflage coveralls, and all of a sudden they wanted to clear them out, and they were 75 cents a piece. Well, for 75 cents, you can afford to stuff those in every vehicle, and if you all of a sudden had to walk away, but you were just wearing whatever you were wearing, one of these coveralls covers a multitude of sins. He's wearing purple, not anymore. He's wearing red, not anymore. He's wearing blue. That's not so bad. Yeah, but we'll cover it up anyway. See how that works? So this works the same way. This would be the same idea, and it's already in a pouch. It's already, again, packaged to go. So wear it up and let us know how it works. Sound good? Uh-oh, he might be busy working. He's on the combine. Okay, very good. Okay, for everybody out there, somebody's asking again, where are these? Okay, hold on. Go to...
Hey, Mark, those Swiss ponchos, weren't we paying like $6 or $7 a piece for those?
Yeah, we eventually, now they can't even, they actually have them over, I think, where we are right now, over at Major Surplus. Hold on a second, I'm going to look, because, again, where'd they go here?
I was just having a dispute with somebody about the price.
Well, when they first came out, you know how it is, Surplus, there was piles of them, and then the price, about $6, $6 was about the mid-range price that we were paying. Now I think they're up around the same price as the reversibles here, which is...
Of course they are.
Yeah, so by the time you're done... I like the Alpine Flash. Guys, right now, the Alpine Flash, this is its season. Where we're going right now in Michigan into the winter, the Alpine Flash becomes a Predator uniform. It is because we've got sumac, and we've got... another one we've got is this really weird... invasive creeper vine that has shown up. When it color changes, it goes blood red. It goes burgundy. So you've got burgundy out there, you've got red sumac, you've got oranges, greens, and they're all mixed in together. Right now, the Alpine Flage, and especially as we go step by step into turning into browns along with the other colors, The Alpine Flage is literally a predator uniform. You disappear in this environment with that. And everybody goes, well, it's got red in it. Well, you're thinking office uniform. It's not an office uniform. It was, and think about this. The Swiss never spend money on anything that they don't plan on using for a very long time. So the Swiss have a tendency to do the research before they build, and there was a reason they built that the way they did. Now, the other consideration is that when they already took night vision into the formula, and you got to remember that they have red granite on top of everything else in the Alps in Switzerland. So a combination of things, ground cover, natural terrain base cover. A lot of guys like the Alpine Flage, it's a little heavy if you get the original cut. The later uniforms were made in a 50-50 cotton polyester blend, and they're actually more like a standard tactical uniform that we would see. But down in Georgia, what do they got for base dirt? Clay. What color is their clay? Red.
Mark, if you recall that night we were doing the night vision with Don, we were doing the video, and I was leaning against the back of the truck, and you couldn't see any part of me except the weapon I was holding.
Yeah, because
it just faded into nothing, and I was leaning against the truck, and you couldn't see anything.
And what gets me is a lot of people are like, how does that work? Well, it's color contrasting, and for whatever reason, the frequencies generated, how the night vision technology picks up the frequency of that color, it registers it, or it doesn't register at all, or because of the breakup. Remember, that's what camouflage patterns are supposed to do, guys. It forces the system to actually select and choose. Think about artificial intelligence to a degree. But then on top of that, this is why ambush patterns work so well, because they're contrasting. They call them dazzle patterns. And what happens is your eye is thinking of one color, but it has to adjust, and it's compensating for the contrasting color, so it keeps shifting mentally back and forth. But because of that, and this little machination is happening in your brain. It's not in real life, but it's the way that your mind perceives it. What happens is it disrupts your perception of the overall image. And it's an ongoing, there's a whole science to camouflage that they've developed. Some of the stuff is goofier than hell. You would think, man, that shouldn't work. But then if you go into the field when it was used, it was, man, that not only worked, it worked so well, it was scary. In other words, if it's stupid and it works, then it's not stupid. There are several patterns that are like this that, contrary to the eye-pleasing ones, well, it's comfortable and it makes me feel good and I like it. It looks so cool, man. It really looks cool. But when you get in the field, it's like, yes, it does look cool, but it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Okay, ACU looks cool. They played ACU up. Come on, think about it. Did you remember the 2020 articles they did on digital ACU? And, the CIA was involved in designing it, and the Department of Defense researched it. Guys, I remember that was yesterday. It was like, and it was the big deal when, by the way, they kept rehashing and trying to push digital for years. If you look at, which country was it I just saw? The Baltic states. Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. I believe Lithuania. Correct me if I'm wrong. Go look at their uniforms. They're doing the old 70s digital. I have examples of when they originally were trying to push digital. The cubes were going to be like the size of an ice cube from an ice cube tray. Well, guess what? They got somebody to buy that. It's out. It's in production. It's already in service. It's over there in the Baltics. And in the Baltic states, the north, and to me, it's like, I don't see why you would do that. Okay, I mean, it doesn't. It works. Okay, it works enough. Anything will work to a degree. Always remember that. You will find some place where that camo works. But if you look at the other uniforms that have been used in the region that have been so successful, it makes no sense as to and why you're doing that. Okay, other than somebody, had a big brown envelope for the supply directors, and they got a nice big envelope under the table, so they're going this direction because that's how the payoff works. That's the only thing that I can see. But the big thing with ACU is it was the work. They even had the propaganda. It was on 60 Minutes. It was on 2020. They spent half of a program raving to get everybody into that uniform because it was so wunderbar and wonderful and exotic and like nothing anybody had, and it was scientific, and it was, okay, well, yeah, but not for every place else except for the very narrow area they were obviously going to dump the troops in, which is not even working well. Wasn't even working that well in Iraq. It worked well in Afghanistan. It's kind of like in most of America, there's only a few places where it works. It is an urban uniform, does work to a degree there, but that depends on the base color of the cement. Have you ever been down south? They don't use gray, they don't use lime, or, well, they do use lime, but one of the problems you got with southern cement, and even with asphalt, is they have that rust belt line. They've got red in the soil. So guess what? You lay down with ACU on and you've got ruddish pavement and ruddish surface materials. It doesn't exactly blend in. See, so little things that they don't want you to talk about. We're supposed to gloss our brain over now. But mind you, I have tons of ACU. But why? Because I told you when they were selling it cheap, buy the hell out of it. It's equipment, it's gear. We'll make it work. In fact, if need be, like what many of the militia units are doing, they're actually re-dyeing all the ACU, and they're making a totally new color range uniform up that works. And in the process, totally changing out the shoot, no shoot, friend-foe scenario. So just heads up. I know we're talking about, this is part of logistics. This is, again, area logistics. We also can focus certain equipment towards particular areas once we get more of an alliance thing going. And for instance, if I had a bunch of you all in one place, we're going to try to trade out so the woodland troops have all woodland. In other words, you're going to do a subdivision barter trade and exchange to get everybody squared away. And that's another thing that we all need to be prepared to do. We're trying to make this so that we can fight effectively. We need friend-foe, shoot, no-shoot silhouettes squared away as quickly as we can. We can do that in a subway, like what you saw with the protests in Virginia. Most people didn't see this, or you didn't know what you were looking at. You may have noticed it, but didn't notice it. What are they wearing the funny plastic strips for? Remember, they took safety strips, don't walk here, and they tied them to every man's arm, and they also had them around the helmet, and then they even had a tag hanging on the back of the gear and on the front. What's that for? Friend, foe, shoot, no shoot. The units who were on the ground actually were prepared to fight, and they demonstrated that because there would be no confusion in an exchange between the police state and the militias on the ground, because your people are all carrying and tagged and marked. Now, granted, everybody goes, well, they know who you are. They already know who you are, and they're planning on shooting you. Shut up. This is
well. They also, Mark. They also don't know necessarily what it is that you're using as your identifying marker. It's not like they got the memo.
Yeah, again, remember, the Mexicans did this. Remember when the Mexican farmers rose up against the cartels in southern and western Mexico? Remember a few years ago, guys? They started out with nothing but single-shot shotguns they had tucked away that they weren't supposed to have, and they went after the cartels and ambushed them and aggressively went against them and disarmed them and, put them out of business. Well, if you watch, step by step, they kept getting better, and after the first couple of engagements where they completely outfitted with enemy equipment, in other words, cartel gear, then they also had to make sure they didn't shoot friendly. So, like you were just saying, what they did is they would change the markers. When they went into one town, they were using white cloth strips, one on each arm, left and right, below the shoulder cap, and then also markers on the back and a marker on the front, and then they'd wrap a strip around the headgear or the helmet they were wearing. By the time they got into the next engagement, they switched all those out, and they were using yellow. When they were in the fourth or fifth engagement, they actually had some like purple striping they came up with, and it was a weird cloth. You couldn't just walk out and pick it up. So if somebody figured out what you were doing, it wouldn't make any difference because, first of all, you'd have to have what they had. And they were good. They were really had their act together, people. They actually, and they were kicking the snot out of the cartels. The only reason the cartels survived is because the government, the traitors in government who are working with the cartels, came out and attacked the peasant farmers and the people because they were cleaning out what the government wouldn't, because the government likes the cartels and is working with the cartels and makes money off the drugs and the prostitution and the human trafficking. So who came out and saved the cartels? The Mexican government did. This is an example of what I'm telling you right now. Before this happens, we're not putting up with that crap, okay? They start this garbage and we start clearing it out. They coming out to help. Like I've told you a million times. The cops of the military cooperating with Antifa or saving Antifa are Antifa. They're with the communists. There's no difference between the two. Always remember that.
The friend of my enemy is my enemy.
Yes, exactly. Well, no, they're just you're following bad orders. You probably shouldn't be here. Since you decided to be here and you're pointing guns at us because you think you're going to disarm us, your ass is going to get shot with the rest of them. They're already bragging up. See, as soon as I say that, there's a bunch of punks out there that are listening going, well, like, yeah, we already figured you're doing that. You already got the order to do that. Why do you have to reinforce that? We already know you're going to take that order. Always remember that, guys. You don't think we have to walk through this? Now, here's the thing. Smell the coffee, snap some of these people out of their stupor and understand that this thing is coming no matter what. That trumpets, ATF and FBI are all flapping their yapping. They're right in sync with Biden about attacking the American gun owner. You think Biden thought that all up on his own? You think anything you heard about with all these idiots yapping their flap right now, where did it come from? It came from the globalists, internationalists, and the ATF, FBI, federal marshals, Homeland Security, who are traitors to the American people and perceive the American taxpayer / the American people themselves in whatever form the enemy. That's why they're letting Antifa go hog wild crazy, because it's a power trip. They are planning on it's part of that antithesis synthesis. Create the problem, demonstrate the problem, and come up with a solution people otherwise wouldn't accept. And the moment that we start cleaning their clock and getting rid of the problem, they're going to jump in because they like the problem. So they'll be siding with the problem. Always remember that. God bless our republic. Yes, to the New World Order. We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The Empire's on the run. We're in the march. We're going to get out of the way here for a minute. Take a break. Go use the bathroom, guys, if you want to. Get a cup of coffee. And we'll be back with the second hour of the Intel Report. It's Thursday on Liberty Tree Radio.
Plant the seed in our homeland, boys, let it grow where all can see. Feed it with our devotion, boys, call it the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Save it from the storm, boys, water down its roots with tea. And the sun will always shine on the old Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. March along with the piper, boys, we were born forever free. Let's go pay the piper, boys, beneath the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Pay the price they're asking, boys, always pay the tyrant's fee. Never give up the struggle, boys, fight for the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Stand for the rights of man, boys, stand against all tyranny. Hang the lance of freedom, boys, high on the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. It will grow as we grow, boys, it will be as strong as we. We must cling to our faith, boys, faith in the Liberty Tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty.
We all need to prepare ourselves. You might have the food, water, gold, and silver, but ask yourself, are you truly prepared? That's why you need to visit MaineMilitary.com. MainMilitary.com carries everything you need. Gas masks, fire starter kits, high-capacity magazines, chemical suits, military surplus items, and much more. Do you own a firearm? MainMilitary.com has a large selection of pistols and rifles suited for your needs. Are your local stores sold out of ammunition? Call or visit them today for prices on hard-to-find ammo and bulk ammo orders. You don't need to worry about having a military surplus store in your area because MainMilitary.com is the only store you'll ever need, all from the comfort of your computer. Visit them online today at MainMilitary.com. That's Maine, like the state, military.com.
Liberty's Guardian, Guns and Ammunition, a family-owned business located in the heart of Ohio's hunting country. Let us help you find the right shotgun or rifle for you. Or if you're looking for a pistol or concealed carry, we have a nice selection of compact and subcompact pistols for that too. Check out our website at www.libertiesguardian.com. That website again is www.libertiesguardian.com. Go to the website and check out our selection today.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we'd hoped you'd always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun. Permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper, so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm, so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm, and keep our country deep in debt, put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn. And your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? O sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand, defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now, as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave? God bless you, and God bless this republic.
Hail, hail the Wehrmacht. I mean the Bundeswehr. Yeah. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second hour of the afternoon intelligence report. I'm Mark Corky. One day closer to victory for all of our brothers and sisters, both on and behind the lines in occupied territories, southwest, east, northeast, and south. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you were listening to us on Libertytreeradio.4mg.com, Liberty Tree Radio on YouTube, live stream on Liberty Tree Radio channel, and we are on AM and FM micro stations, CB base stations, and UltraNet, Hallmark, and Golden Spike technologies east and west of the Mississippi, along with Alaska. Good afternoon to all of our friends out there in lower 49, including the great state of Jefferson, CONUS, the outlying 2 states, territories, and the clock. Somewhere it's midnight, somewhere it's midday, but right now it's 6:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is beautiful outside. It is Thursday. It's going to be clear as a bell tonight. We had a beaming moon, even with the cloud cover. You did not need night vision last night. 3 o'clock in the morning, I was out there. 4 o'clock, as early as, late as, actually, stayed up. And bright, clear as a bell. I actually get a lot done, especially I'm also experimenting with some of the other digital night vision, just because we've got examples here. I've got 2 of them behind me right now, and I'm satisfied. We're going to talk more about that maybe on the 8 o'clock hour, because I've got some other feedback coming in I haven't seen yet. But for everybody out there, there's a lot of good stuff that definitely is worthwhile. And we got to make up. We can't get green screen, not enough of it. And that's going to continue to be an issue, I think, for quite some time. So, if not right up until the run-up on the war. Anyway, today's date, Thursday, October 1st. It's October! All right. Congratulations. You've made it to October. October. It is a horrible day, but it is actually the 1st of October, so it's not a bad day at all. Pretty. And we are headed now into the government money grubber phase, where the foreigners are going to be stealing a big chunk from the U.S. taxpayer, and the shysters / turds in Washington, D.C. will lie their arse off about what's going on. But it is the 12th year of open Fabian Socialist and Soviet Socialist occupation of America, with a K. 2020, Old Earth Calendar, 2020, year of conflict, battle for the Republic, dance of swords, you're living it. The general, of course, is going to be betrayed, along with a whole group of other people who thought they were trying to find peace, and they will discover that the only mission the enemy has in life is the destruction of our country and the destruction of our people. And you are going to have to act and defend yourself accordingly. Congratulations. Now, logistics, the key to success. Now, look around, guys. Like I said, resale shops. If you could do nothing else, one of the last things you'd do if a resale shop was still open is go through and you buy everything OD green in the store as far as pants go. Doesn't make any difference what size. You're going to need, all sizes anyway. But little trick we already kind of agreed upon. A lot of the resale stores, a couple of those have actually closed down. They actually divided their clothing by color. You can go into a couple of them here in the area, in the county, and all the OD green Docker pants and, 6-pocket tactical pants and 6-pocket long shorts are all right there in one big batch. And what you do is you go through and say, how much would you want for all of them? Give me a better price and I'll buy them all right now off the rack. Seriously, that's how I've already coached purchasing agents to do. We already know what we're going to do when the time comes. They get all the brown that way, get all the green that way. Even the Kelly green, I wouldn't care what green it was. But in pants and in tops, if you can find tops that are in the same range, I'd just buy everything. We are not going to have enough clothing. We are not going to have enough socks. You are never going to have enough footwear. You're going to be short that right off the bat. As soon as everybody realizes they need more than one pair of boots, okay? God, how many times you repeat that and people don't listen. However, we'll live with it. They're going to have to live without. I'm not going to give out just anybody the equipment that we've put together. I have got an eye for the people who listened, and the others are going to have to learn. It's just that simple. My dad taught me that a long time ago. I learned from my daddy quite well, and I will not forget. So anyway, there are a couple of things here real quick, pants-wise or clothing-wise. Sportsman's Guide has some pretty decent little, sale items here and there. Not a lot, but they have some. And so if you go through and run in surplus pants, let's do that. It's the easiest way to get you where it might want you to be to check things out. There are a number of different fatigue pants that are not cheap. There's nothing, as far as I'm concerned, there are cheaper, but there are no inexpensive or cheaper clothing items in surplus, especially in pant wear. There are some sets of uniforms. Some of them are like not necessarily anywhere near what you probably would think you want, but if you're looking at outfitting a whole bunch of troops, you got to be looking at bulk and quantity. You also need size range, a broad spectrum. Here's what's funny. South Sudanese military surplus two-piece BDU uniform set, $22.49. However, if you look on the Slido scale, it says, okay, like the center would be like, it fits perfectly. One direction it fits big, the other fits small. Well, okay. The Slido scale puts it way over in the, oh God, they're really small. Like they're like mostly, everything's going to run small. So here's what's cute. The uniforms are medium, large, extra large, 2X, and 3X. Now, since I see the Slido scale, which one do I think I'd buy? I think I'd focus on the 3X and 2X and ignore the rest for the time being. Now, I do know that there's a wholesaler that these came from, and I'm trying to find it, but it's not any of the usual sources. I don't know where Sportsman's got these. These are a OD green fatigue uniform. They would work. Seriously, they're brand new, unissued, $11 basically a top, $11 a bottom. But they are OD green uniforms. Guys, OD green tactical clothing. If I want to camouflage those up, I'm from the old school. We were taught to paint. We were taught to use RIT dye. And you know what? I could break this up real quick with a couple of different colors. It's still going to be dark because it's OD green. Always remember that. You can't lighten anything up when you're dyeing it, but you can create the large splotch green, large splotch dark. You can go brown or even go black. And what it'll do is it'll change the shading and the base shading because of the colors that are in the cloth already. Do a little research on that. You'll understand. A lot of guys doing ghillie suits have explained this to people for years. And again, spray paint does work too. Paintbrush gives you that tiger stripe pattern. Where do you think tiger stripe came from? Why do you think it looks like a paintbrush stroke? Originally, tiger stripe was hand painted. It was done by people in the field as a field modification. Somebody looked at it and said, hey, we got cheap China sport mills, or actually, let's put it this way, Siamese and Cambodian mills. We can make stuff there. And they did. So that's where the tiger stripe, remember, came from Vietnamese forces. There's a whole history of that. We don't need to cover it here. You can see all the contrasting arguments about that off on the side. Anyway, this is an example, medium, large, extra large, 2X, and 3X. However, it sounds like, well, these guys are big guys. No, look at that sliding scale up there as far as spec goes dimension-wise. In reality, this is more like selling a small or extra small, a medium, a large, and extra large, probably. That's what I would take. That's how I would do it, slide the scale. However, for the price, these are brand new uniforms. Probably in the wholesaler, I should be able to cut that in half. Now, this is something that they're brand new, unissued, and this is South Sudan. This is an example of gear. I'm doing this because when you wonder what Mark talks about, South Sudanese military surplus two-piece BDU set. There was some Italian stuff that came in a little while back, Woodland Camo. You guys bought it up, which is good. I know one of the groups that got 700 pieces, tops and bottoms. They look just like our gear. You can't tell the difference. In this case, it's just that it's an OD green, consistent uniform, brand new. Don't forget, you're going to need more than one set of clothes. Okay, that's another thing. Well, I got a top and a bottom. Oh, that's nice. You're either going to stink to high heaven or you're going to be bare-ass naked standing there waiting for the clothes to be washed. Is that what you're telling me? So one way or another, you are going to need other clothing on hand. And this is where, again, utility fatigues. They're called fatigues for a reason. fatigue. Oh, man, I'm working my arse off. Yeah, fatigue uniform. Okay, so otherwise, when you look at the pricings, I mean, for the longest time, the woodland camo stuff was bargain basement. You'll notice that is not the case now. In fact, I'm looking at Army U.S. surplus pants, $36 a pair. French CCE, $27 a pair. U.S. military field pants new, $36 a pair. And these are all surplus old woodland. I mean, woodland's been out for a while, gone for a while in the service system, not with the French, not for the Italians. But in both cases, guys, look at the price. Okay, I mean, this is just a random grab. Now,
I was wearing woodland, Army woodland back in high school, Mark, back in early 80s.
Right, hand-me-down. I mean, usually get it for nothing because people were, I got tons of that. So, and it's not a bad pattern only because, if nothing else, the supply system, it's out there. This is one of the things I'd point out. It wouldn't make any difference which of these woodland pants I had. I could outfit an Army because I have French, Italian, U.S. woodland, and actually there are some other Northern European woodland that are actually very close to ours. If not, they're ours, and we sold them to them, or we sold the print pattern and system as a side contract to them. So there's a bunch of the stuff around, and what I would do is consolidate it so that those units would be consistent. Okay, just a heads up on that. An interesting thing when you go through Sportsman's Guide, put in surplus pants on the first page, you go down a little bit, and I'm using their catalog as a radio catalog, so to speak. There's an interesting pattern. It's a jungle variant that they have. I've only seen a very small number of these, and they pop up every once in a while. Dutch military surplus jungle camouflage pants, not in woodland. They're in a very different brown range. In fact, for jungle, it's unusual to see the brown that they have there, in addition to the tropical greens, because it's dominantly brown and dark brown. Now, for me, here in Michigan, that would be a great color. I would use it. But, again, can you get everything that you need? Can you match everything up so that you have some consistency? That's where the problem is. Friend, foe, shoot, no shoot. Now, I just told you a minute ago, buy all the stuff on the shelf. You're going to need to change out. You're going to stink real quick. In fact, let me point something out. Oh, let's see, bottle of wine, fruit of the vine, when you're going to let me get sober? Time's getting rough. I ain't got enough to buy me a bottle of wine. My pants are so old that they shine, is one of the lines in there. Why is that? Because they're so tired and they're so old and they're so worn and washed, threadbare, that the polymer in the blend is buffed. Okay, this happens with clothing. You can wear through it. Now, here's the problem. Your stench, that crotch area of yours, those knees, any place where you've got sweat buildup, those salts and those oils are going to break down cotton and even polyester. Okay, underpants are there for a reason. Okay, and somebody said, well, I'm not going to wear it. A lot of guys didn't wear underpants in combat necessarily. Well, it just made it easier to clean stuff out and let if you did defecate in your drawers, it kind of slid down the pant leg and disappeared, at least got away from you. You're worried about cleaning things up later. These are disgusting subjects. No, it's just the reality of the world the way it is. But remember, too, that logistics was a big problem. This sounds weird, but I just mentioned this earlier, and I've said this to other people today. Guys, the supply system never caught up with where it's supposed to be. You got new underpants. They showed up, 300 miles back when your unit was over in Schmittsburg, and you're unfortunately now in Strasbourg, and you guys are on the move, and you know what? Even your duffel bags with all your gear are 600 miles halfway across France. They're still sitting in France. We used to buy duffel bags that were from either men that were killed, and the bags just were in limbo. They would go into storage, but also they never caught up with the troops. You'd have whole batches of equipment that were issued to soldiers, and they would put them in trucks. They would move them to a site, and then they'd never catch up because they'd be so far down the road. Their logic was, well, what the hell? We got more ships down the way. Why don't we just give them all new equipment? And that's what they did. And then what they do, the government eventually keep the stuff for so long, and then you could buy warehouses full of duffel bags with equipment, all from the same army, all from the same year. In some cases, a whole unit's, a battalion's worth of equipment. all that just, they didn't ever caught up with them. Now, some of those men were dead. Some of those men were still very much breathing and alive. So you never knew what you were going to find in those duffel bags, okay? Supply systems are a bugger when it's run by a central mechanism of some kind, and it's really not reliable. We're going to get around that, especially in the earliest stages of this conflict. Remember, nobody's going to be sending you stuff if you don't have money. There's not going to be anybody importing, and there's going to be anybody sending you stuff to sell you because you're the other side. Why? What do you have to spend? Well, what are you going to pick up? How are you going to do this? I'm fascinated when I hear people say, well, we'll be getting it from somebody else. How? What logistics system, what finance system do you have set up? You guys all ready for that? See, whatever you have, what you start with is what you got. That's it. I kind of like what Rumsfeld said. I've always pointed out, I didn't disagree with Rumsfeld, well, you fight what you got. My argument is when you're a multi-trillion-dollar military and you got a lot of graft and corruption, the only reason you're having to fight what you got is because somebody stole all the stuff you were supposed to have to fight with. That's what I get tired of. And that's the nature of the pigs we have that are in Washington and the kosher turds that are stealing from us blind. God help us, this month, your country is going to get ripped off by the Israelis. You do understand that. It's time. Your country, we are going to get raped with what they're going to steal from this country in the next 30 days. We are going to be raped. So be ready for that on top of everything else. Then don't say I didn't tell you so, because we know it's coming. Okay? The fiscal period is overlapped. Trump is a meat puppet for the Israelis. Netanyahu is one in charge, not Trump. And the rest is history. So we're going to see another couple of $1 trillion out the door, no accountability, and over in Tel Aviv in a matter of hours. Once they do it. Well, it'll be whenever they do it here down the next few days. Then it'll be long gone. That's all there is. Now, another thing is, somebody's looking at some of the prices of like over did what I recommended. I know there's nothing that's like cheap in a fatigue pant where we used to be. Well, some of you bought stuff from me before. Be quite honest, the cheapest thing there are German Hopspurs, East German military surplus riding pants. Those are called Hopspurs, by the way. 3 pairs, and they're up to like extra large for $20.69. I can look like a pre-World War II action hero, like Buck Rogers. It's cool. Well, they do work. They're actually pretty good pants. They're officers' pants, by the way. That's why they're pretty good pants. But if you look, like I said, there's a 2-pack of East German military pants. Here's one. Okay, German military surplus work pants. 2-pack used, not new, for $13.49. Now, I know we can probably find something like that here in the U.S., so that's where, again, you're looking at surplus, you might find a better deal. There are other companies. Sportsman's Guy's not the only one. It's just something I can take you to where everybody can see or get an example of what's happening with the system, okay? But there are places where you'll find, if you cherry pick, little niches of something that they have a ton of because it's what that company bought, and they want to get rid of it. When they do, you take advantage of it. Some of you guys listening out west, we did this when we were organizing militias about 2 years ago out in Arizona and New Mexico. We took all the DCU camo from all over the country where there was piles of it here and piles of it there. Well, one had the hats. The other company had the shirts. Then they had more of the shirts in another place. We stripped it all out and shipped it all out west. I just coordinated it so everybody, it was all went to one place because it was cheap. $2 for brand new pants, $2, $3, $5 for brand new shirts, or field jackets. A bunch of you guys are wearing them probably. You should be saving them. But field jackets, M65 field jackets, DCU3 color for $5 a piece. Brand new, unissued, U.S. military, just came out of Gov liquidation. That's the kind of stuff, that's what I would like to, that's what we need. Well, the problem is, again, availability and also who's running the scam now. And they figure it's a buyer's market. They know we're going to war, which is why the prices have all gone the way that they have. They know that and again, that's also part of the secret weapons for silent war formula, guys. Once they realize that that they're screwed, they can't baffle you with the BS and keep you flat-footed so they can catch you off guard when the time comes. What happens is they realize that now they've got to try and prevent you from resupplying or supplying to a greater level so that they can keep the math formula within their parameters. CIA, NSA, Homeland Security, the rest of skunks and scumbags that make up all these operations. There is a math formula for logistics. Go ahead, caller, jump in there, please.
Yes, Mark. I would like to add to the conversation today, please. And earlier in the week, you talked about some medical bandages that Sportsman's Guide had that were Swiss bandages. I believe it was 25 bandages.
Swedish military surplus elastic bandages for 25 is the best price I've seen. Yeah, 25.
Okay, well, I've got a couple deals here that I'd like to share. I looked at those bandages, and those look almost like a stretchable gauze because they're listed as 4 3/4 inches wide by 84 inches long.
Yep, that's the one.
And what I did, I went to some of the sites that I'd been to before, and lo and behold, some of this stuff is back in stock. It wasn't in stock 6-7 months ago. If you go to shopmedvet.com, that's shopmedvet.com. I'll give you just a couple of item numbers so people have an idea of what we're talking about. You can buy some stretchable gauze, very similar to what that Swiss bandage is. The item number is a Charlie Bravo 0204. That's CB0204. Charlie Bravo 0204. It's at shopmedvet.com.
Hold on, wait for a second. Is it stop or shock?
Shop.
Okay, spell it. Okay, yeah, spell it out for everybody, and go slow and do it 3 times so everybody will be on the same page. Go ahead.
Okay. It's shopmedvet.com. As SHOPMED vet VET.com.
Excellent.
Shopmedvet.com. The first item, because there's 2 items today that I wanted to share that are in the same category as that Swiss bandages. The first item is a CB0204. That's Charlie Bravo 0204. What that will take you to is you can buy a box of 96 stretch gauze bandages. They are 4 inches wide. It's just a fraction narrower than the Swiss bandages. They're a little over 2 yards long, so they're 2.1 yards long, so they're about the same 84 inches in length. But they're $10.95 for that carton of 96.
Yep, that's worthwhile. And as I'm looking at the shipping
price, Mark. Now, I know that they listed those Swiss bandages that Sportsman's Guide has elastic, but they look like a gauze bandage, a stretchable gauze.
Well, they are stretchable. Yeah, that's the thing. The ones that we have, like I said, that I just put in here, I'm looking gauze and dressing, bandages. It's over in where you're talking about, which, by the way, this is, like we said, we've gone to the companies before. Anytime when they run out, it's because they're doing what we're doing. Everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah. Well, see, some things are back in stock, Mark, and now I've got another item here I'd like to share. It's at the same location, same website, shopmedvet.com. That's shop like you're going to buy, shopmedvet.com. And this item, it's an Echo Bravo, the number 6, X, as in is like Xavier, 50. That's EB6X50. Echo Bravo 6 Xavier 50. Now, what this item number is, if you're actually wanting or somebody wants a true elastic bandage, you can buy 50 of these 6-inch bandages. This is new stock. This isn't surplus. These are the type of bandages that can be washed and be sterilized. You can buy 50 of them in a bag of 50 for $25. That's 50 cents a piece. And they're 5 yards long. They're 6 inches wide and 5 yards long. That price for those, Mark, is actually cheaper than their 4-inch. I'll give the item number again if you don't mind.
No, repeat it 3 times so everybody gets that.
Okay. It's an elastic bandage at shopmedvet.com. The item number is an EB6X50. That's an Echo Bravo 6 Xavier 50. Excuse me. I'm getting myself confused. It's an EB6X50. What that is, they are selling, if you buy 50 of their elastic bandages, and this is new stock, I think it's made by Oasis. These bandages are washable. You can launder them. You can sterilize them and reuse them. They're 50 bandages for $25. They measure 6 inches wide, and they are 5 yards long. That's a hell of a big bandage. I mean, that's almost like you almost wrap someone's body with that.
In fact, what you would do is only use what you need and actually cut the difference, and then you'd have the rest for the next casualty. That's basically what they'd be doing with that. Yeah.
Yes. And now the first item that I had mentioned, Mark, is for a stretch gauze. Now, I'm giving the price and for the 4-inch by roughly 80-some inch long version because it compares in product to what you had given us earlier in the week from Sportsman's Guide for the Swiss gauze. The item number for that is a CB0204. That's Charlie Bravo 0204. And what that is, it is a carton of 96 4-inch stretch gauze bandages for $10.95. Now, Mark, earlier this year, I looked all over the place, and shopmedvet.com was out of these. And I ended up buying some because I thought all holy snot was coming undone, and I think it will here. I just missed it by a few weeks. But I paid almost $10, and I only bought 24, and that was a fair price.
Right, there's still a fair. Yeah, that's still a good price. The volume here too. Now somebody's asking, well, this is like MedVet. These are like veterinary supplies. Yes, they are, guys. There's no difference in the industry. It's kind of like dental. This is another thing. Dental, as opposed to some of the industrial materials, there is absolutely no difference. And if you actually know the industry, you can cross over from one to the other without any problem. And these are actually, when you're looking at volume, something we've talked about, you're going to need volume. It's not just the first time you treat a patient. Let me ask you something. And in fact, these are washable, like you're saying. Several of them are. And they can be autoclaved, they can be boiled. Remember, there's a lot of old tricks. You're going to learn all of them. And bleach. Don't forget bleach. Doc used to explain it to me again. In fact, he treated several wounds. Bleach was the first thing that he used for scrubbing out the wound area because it is still an old method, but it's a working method. You need volume because you're going to also have to change out dressings. You need quantity. If we want a person to survive, it's not just initially keeping them breathing. You know, they do it in the movies all the time. Think about it, where they tell you, the wound's got to be changed, and we don't have any more dressings, and it's infecting, you know. Well, guys, the way you prevent that is by having more of what you need, and you change it out. So,
well, you know, Mark, I know this business is called shopmedvet.com. The truth is they've got a hell of a lot of medical stuff for people there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
and this is either or, but for the prices, a 96 count of 4-inch stretchable gauze for $10.95. This company also has the Medline and other brand names of the combination pads. You know, the combi pads that you put on the wound. They have that in carton quantities, and it's basically the same stuff you go, you know, to the drugstore and buy if you want to treat, you know, a wound. So I mean, but this stuff is available. Now, Shop MedVet also has wound kits and the Burma kits, and they have little sterile packs that you can buy. Now, In Illinois, we're not allowed to buy a syringe with a needle, apparently, because earlier this year I was going to buy some deburrment kits because they had some really nice kits. These are sterile packed kits with the items. Let's say you had a severe wound and it was infected, and you need to do some deburrment. You need to wash the wound and maintain some type of sterilized situation. Well, Shop MedVet has those kits, and they're individually wrapped. They're sterile. It has what you need to basically clean a wound, a severe wound. And they were cheap, like $5. And the one I wanted had a stupid little needle in it, so we couldn't buy it. So I've had to find an alternative. But they have those things. Now, the individual, a man in the field may not want those kits, but I can guarantee you that the guy running your little hospital will, because, see, those are something that you can put in a medical backpack, like a stomp pack, like a SEAL team operational medical pack, or if you're lucky enough to find one of these medical Molly packs from, say, the first Gulf War. If you've got those, you can make a medical bag and take that to the field to handle, like a field hospital situation for some severe wounds. But Mark, I had found these. I was going to buy some, like I said, earlier this year, and they were out. Well, daggone it, they're back in stock now. So I just wanted to run that by you. And
well, let's not forget, this is the bulk. Okay, a lot of guys right now, what we're doing is hunting down ambulances. The ambulances are not going to be used as an ambulance. The ambulances that we're purchasing, we're using as forward area hospital, like med units. Multiples to handle 10 to 12 to 20 patient categories with regard to an item. In some cases, hundreds. Example is everything is going to be volumed out with dressings, patches, stitches, stapling technology. It's going to be stacked. Folding or collapsible stretchers are stacked on board for 10 people, not for one. You still have the gurney on board, but the way we treat the ambulance is that it is the mobile fixed unit that you're going to be moving patients back to, and then from there you're transporting them with vans, trucks, whatever you've got that are going to be considered the casualty transport vehicles as an ambulance. The ambulance itself becomes an aid station. You see, that's one of the ways. All this equipment you're talking about here, this is the stuff you bulk out that unit with. And then what I would recommend, because this is people that are listening, I would get another van, which, by the way, we've got, like this. We've got another van, and that is outfitted with the hardware and the replacement volume items that go on the ambulance or can be handed out to the doc. In fact, you want to keep it away from where the ambulance is, because the ambulance is going to have doc and a few other people working on casualties. The van actually is where you issue out to the medics who are needing to be resupplied. And when you got 90...
So you basically are talking about a mobile resupply unit then?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, see, then in that case, that means a small group of guys, Mark, to go together. We're talking 90... Now, see, I know that the item number I gave you was for the 4-inch, but they got 6 inches. And
all sizes, yeah.
It's a hell of a price even for that.
Right, I'm looking at the page. This has got, they've restocked. They were way, way, way down. And I've noticed that they've also changed a couple of product lines, which means, again, they probably couldn't get it from the other source, or that company may have gone out of business with the Corona beer virus scam. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, but
whoever it is, they've got the products back in, so that's a good thing.
I'm sorry, I'm talking over you, Mark.
No, you're good. Go right ahead, please.
But basically, Mark, for $11, $10.95, you can buy a carton of 96 sponge gauze bandages. And even if all you done was put them in Ziploc bags and had them in an IFAC pouch as something for an immediate care for a wound with, say, some combi pads, maybe you added one of these elastic bandages, 6-inch elastic bandages, which they have other sizes. They have 2s and 4s and 6s, and I think even some 3s. But, 10 guys could go together and add throw in $10 and probably save their lives if the need arose. And I didn't realize that what you suggested about the vans as mobile resupply operations, units. Well, hell, for $100, you basically would have what, almost 1,000 bandages here.
Yeah, exactly. And again, what you do is you could either leave them in the case and drop the pod, everything weatherized. Okay, my biggest problem that I've noticed is I don't know what's because of the coronavirus garbage or whatever. All of the different vendors that had barrels and transport containers have dried up. We don't have them in the area like we did. I'm going to hunt down a few and see if they're still doing what they were doing, and I'm sure they are. They're just not advertising or doing anything now. But these are people who get containers from industrial sources. They're not a business. What's great is the little 10-gallon, think about this, the 10-gallon square transport buckets. The 5-gallon are good, but if you pack everything so it's modular, guys, you'd stop. Doc says, okay, I've had 25 patients, or I've had 10 patients, or I've had 12 patients. I need to restock, and I need this. I need basic bandage kits. I need staples. I need burn kits. And what you do is literally you have it prepackaged so that you just give Doc a number 5. A number 5 is a 10-gallon bucket with replacement bandages, replacement 4-bys, everything you're talking about here. Or ideally, if in some cases, not ideal because it means he's had wounded, but the idea is, guys, we have to think about being able to get the medical to the guy where the rubber meets the road that's keeping you alive. Think about it that way. And by the way, we were mentioning vets, and everybody goes, well, it's a veterinarian. I'd rather have a vet working on me than somebody who was a car mechanic last week. And I'm not giving my car mechanics a bad name, but that vet can do everything that doctor can, and you'll be thanking God that he's there when the time comes.
You'll be surprised how much surgical skills modern veterinarians have.
Vets in many cases have more because they're not as specialized as the medical industry has become. Think about that one. The vet is more likely to see that compound fracture from that dog that got run over by the car down the road, and granted, a lot of times they want to put him down, but, he'll either do two things. It's going to be, I can either spend a lot of money because it's going to cost a lot of money to put that together, or we can amputate, or I can put him down, okay? But think about this. Most people kind of like their pets, so although a lot of people will just have them put down, it is more likely that doctor, that med, has done a traumatic amputation, or removal amputation, and or has done a repair, and so has more time on the technology. Now, this is going to be true of everybody. Every friend I had who was in World War II who was a medic is going to tell you, and there are some still alive, and most of our good friends are gone. The time doesn't wait for anyone. But it's like my one friend said, Stephen, and also Wilson, they both said the same thing. He said, we were supposed to be AIDSmen. We were going to run around with bags and patch people up. By the time we were done the first couple of weeks, they had us doing surgeries. Not big surgeries, but doing minor surgeries. Why? Because if I could get you and anybody else listening to do an appendectomy, the doctor could focus on the guy whose arm was half cut off and whose guts were hanging in his lap.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think about this.
That's so critical, Mark, to have people trained. Now, I was going to add something here real quick. When you started talking about, your friends that, begin to do the surgery, ShopMedVet.com also has the Oasis Master Suture Kits, and that's actually for people. The product number is an S, that's Sam 15, and that's that master kit, like a 100-piece or 104-piece trauma kit. It's got staples for people. It's got the bandages. It's got multiple sutures, clamps, hemostats. It's got a lot of stuff in it. And it also has the better Wilson forceps. Because, when you sew somebody up, it's not like when you're sewing a piece of leather up, hopefully, where you got to take your fingers and kind of pick up the skin and hold it. You got the forceps to allow you to be sterile and to try to do the job properly. But, they've got that kit still available.
You got the technology, the toolbox you need to do the work. That's what it is.
Yes. And those they're a lot cheaper now than they were before. So.
Well, one of the other things here, again, there's multiple. Somebody's asking, well, okay, if I needed quantity. Well, exactly what you brought up there is volume. Anytime you can buy quantity, you will get a better price. Now, some of you may not be able to do that or want to do that, but I'm going to point out something. Are you buying for yourself, or are you actually going to open up your mind to the idea you're buying for the cause? I've had this conversation several times the last couple of months, and it's like what I've seen, the shift I've seen. We've got counties buying and outfitting militias getting ready for war because they know what the government has planned. I'm going to tell you that right now. I've been doing surveys and just pass the information on so I don't have to fiddle fart with it. But this is why I've been trying to find thousands of pieces of equipment. Now, in medical, some of these organizations and institutions can actually go and get some of this stuff for free. There's systems for the states where you can do that, but they don't necessarily want it to be flagged from that direction because they are planning on fighting a war. Yeah. Now, if you don't need 96 pieces, but let's put it this way, maybe you're going to help me keep Bob alive and Fred and by the way, 3 or 4 other people that aren't your relatives, by just having a 5-gallon pail with more medical equipment that you can hand off to us so that we can put it where the men can use it, or women. See, I want you to think about that, people. This is, you want to stop the war. Yeah, I'll explain it to you this way. You really want to stop the war when the enemy realizes that you've taken seriously all aspects of fighting this war. You want to stop this war? You be prepared to the point where there isn't any benefit on the battlefield for them to try.
Well, Mark, I know money's tight, but good grief, with just the 2 items, if a person went to those pages and looked at some of these items and maybe picked up a few, for what a guy can get for $50 right now, or a couple people go together and get for $100, or say 10 people go together and get for, say, $200, because shopmedvet.com is one of these places. If you buy enough, that shipping becomes free on some items.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yes.
But like you said, 96 gauze bandages for basically $11. Hell, I'm actually sitting here. I'm going to try to see if my wife will let me order something. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a large amount. Hell, you can use them to clean guns with, I guess, if nothing else.
Well, if all else fails, here's the other thing. Okay, think about this. Well, every vehicle should have a trauma kit in it. You shouldn't have to go from one vehicle to the next and go, I want to switch this over to this. Think about that. When you can bring the price down, you can spend what you would spend for one on, say, 5, if you do quantity and all your friends work together, guys. Every one of your vehicles has the same bag that you can run up to and grab, and if there's a car accident or somebody hurt in the front yard or somebody that you're dragging out to the car because they just had an accident in the house and you're trying to get them to the hospital as quick as you can, you don't have to flutter around trying to figure out where to get something. In other words, I know I've got this pack right here at fingertip grip, and while we're going down the road and somebody's traveling white-knuckled at 100 miles an hour, hopefully they're not, but as long as they're moving down the road, you're moving towards where somebody can do a better job. You're keeping the person from breathing, from suffocating. You're keeping them from bleeding to death, and you're keeping them stable and prepped for when they do get to where there's better medical care. Think about how many situations like that you can run into. I mean, I've said this before. Everybody goes, "Oh my God, war." Do you know if you were to do what everybody likes to do nowadays, which is put little crosses down the road where there's a horrible accident? If you actually did that on the roads that you travel, do you know your roads would look like a cemetery?
Yeah.
You ever thought about that? I mean, really, seriously. In some places it is done. Some people, they're like, hey, we got a bad out west, I've seen it many times. There's like 20, 30, 15, 17 crosses on a corner. Why? Well, because when people get a little fire water or they get a little excited and they got a cool car, they didn't calculate that turn or the bank, and guess what? They end up being the next cross sitting on that corner. But here's the thing. This is true up and down every road in America. Do you know how many accidents the road I'm on? If we actually did that, this would be a stinking cemetery. And you know what? The sooner you get there, the less likely there's a grave marker. Yeah. The sooner help appears out of nowhere, the less likely there's going to be a grave marker. I want you to think, and it might be somebody you like or somebody you love. Could be you. Okay?
Well,
so
you know, that's the whole thing, Mark. Just the 2 items here, these weren't available several months ago because I tried to buy them and they weren't available. And I bought a little bit here and there on some other items, but good God, now they do have a 6-inch stretchable gauze, same length, and I think it's a 36 or a 38 piece count for like $7. But when you stop and think about it, you know, unless you're doing a whole body wrap, a 4-inch gauze bandage, stretchable gauze bandage, especially when you can buy 96 of them for $10.95, that's about the best deal. And I know stuff is specialized, and I didn't even take the time to go through everything because I remember Monday or Tuesday, you talked about those Swiss bandages. And the truth is, that's not a bad price either. Because right now it's just availability, but I was looking but I'm just shocked that some of this stuff's back in stock now. So hopefully it's something that can help somebody because we need volume. And, you know, you made a comment earlier in the week, no matter how much you have, you're not going to have enough. I have a feeling that statement may be more prophetic than anybody wants to admit.
It always looks great when it's piled up and you got a bunch of something. Seriously, I don't care if it's ammunition or whatever, corn, feed, food, canned goods, I don't care what it is. It does look impressive. But then when you do the math and you start figuring on consumption is when you realize, darn, that looks good, but I need a lot more.
Yeah. Well, you know, you talked about containers. You know, these Rubbermaid and these little square containers with the lids that, you know, people were buying and practically throwing away several years ago. Those have dried up here locally for us. Half
of it, just with the restaurants closing, guys, think about how much stuff is in volume has just simply shut off. The machine itself is, you know, there are so many different elements. You know, people are asking me about, like, well, why isn't this available? Well, if they're not running and they're not opening cans and they're not opening pudding buckets and they're not opening, you know, grain buckets, you know, or flour, guess what? They're not going to show up in the other end of the machine because they aren't moving through the machine. And that's what's happened. You know, this is one of the reasons I'm totally disgusted with the brain dead zombies that we're dealing with, okay? Because everything has to do with, they assume somehow it's all going to be at your fingertips. But they broke the machine, and they intentionally, in their stupidity and their drama queen BS and all the garbage that they've generated, they have broken the machine, and it will not be fixed. This is something nobody has really wrapped their brain around yet, and I'm telling you right now, this is not going to be fixed. They have,
Mark,
they've broken us to the point where we're going to die, but we are going to have the solution because it's not coming from the same stupid people that broke it.
Yeah,
you know?
That's something I realized early on when I started hearing stories of all the food and the milk and the cheeses and the onions and the peppers and the potatoes all being dumped. My first thought was, these people's out of their mind because they've broken the supply chain. See, I used to be a small hog farmer, and I raised hogs for 28 years. They have so damaged the industry. There aren't any small hog farmers. You know, unless you're just having one or two for yourself, there isn't any supply left. Even the feed companies are gone. So you don't have the options and the opportunity to have the better products and to buy the animals and even to butcher them or sell them, market them. That stuff doesn't exist where I live anymore. And I live in, you know, there used to be 5 places to buy hog feed. We had 5 or 6 places within 30 miles of me where you could sell a hog. Those don't exist at all anymore. And they've broken our chain, our production supply. They've broken the food chain, our supply chain. And it's just not there. I mean, and lumber. Has anybody tried to find and price lumber lately? We needed some 3/8 plywood the other day for a little job, and the plywood went from $16 a sheet to $26 a sheet.
Yep.
It's stupid.
Oh, even the OSB, just the regular chip chunk board, you know, punka junk board, is now at the price of what we were paying for plywood.
Yeah, my wife told me today. She said she went to a lumber yard today, and she come back and told me that a piece of locally half-inch construction CDX plywood is $46 a sheet.
Yeah,
that's stupid.
Well,
That's more money than what you used to buy a B or what was it, an AB or a BC grade furniture grade oak 3/4 inch plywood for.
Right, you'd have at least one side high finish and laminate 5 or 7 layer laminate furniture board is what you're looking at.
Yeah. We used to pay less than that for that.
Or marine board. Marine board would be that pricey, but now guys go look at that.
The product, the supply chain is broken, and this is why I called Mark. To be honest with you, I know you mentioned that, and I don't like to call in too much, but when I found this deal. God, this is a hell of a price. A 6-inch elastic bandage is 5 yards long for 50 cents. If you buy 50 of them, that's $25.
You know another reason that this actually has happened from the medical end? Nobody wants to say anything or think about this. Do you realize nobody's going to the hospital?
Yes.
The hospitals have become dusty glass palaces for a clique of people that they've self-aggrandized, but have aggrandized. Oh, the medical people, they're so important. We can't send anybody there because they're at risk. Every time I hear that crap about somebody who is in a job that is supposed to be risky, that we need to worry about it, we can't do anything because they would be at risk. If you're going to piss at me about your job, you are not in the right job when you're doing that. It's like a soldier telling me years ago, I didn't sign up for this. We're going over to Iraq. Let me give you a little hint. Green uniform and you're carrying a rifle. This is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Okay? We had people saying that, though, remember? Cops telling me, well, it's dangerous. Uniform. Training with a gun. You should have, that's part of your math formula no matter what. Now, if you hadn't figured that out before you got the job, don't whine to me about how dangerous it is. Okay, with medical, it's like, well, guess what? You're in a place where, let's see, what's that word? It's disease. It's in the vocabulary. Don't tell me how we have to have some special super insular layer for everything because you're so special that nobody can use you. Okay, the hospitals, right now where we are in the hospitals here in Michigan, you can't have one visitor a day. Okay, one visitor a day. And of course, if you're in the wrong department, no visitors. You're going to die alone, okay? They won't let anybody in no matter what. Well, wait a minute. If you're terminal, what the hell difference does it make?
Yeah.
Do you see how stupid this garbage is?
I had a family member tell me that the doctors where he lives, and he lives in a major metropolitan area that's a big college town, and I had a family member tell me that to get around the COVID rules, every time they brought in patients, they had to spend the next 2 days cleaning the building. So all the doctors would go from one building on Monday, then they go to another building on Tuesday and another building on Wednesday, and maybe back to the original building on Thursday so they can start the process over because of the so-called COVID rules.
Right.
And then you practically had to be dying to take a ticket to have a chance to get in.
And most people don't want to go. They also don't want to get near it because they don't want to deal with, and people rightfully don't trust, and you shouldn't, the medical industry right now. We're going to have to test you for the coronavirus. Oh, so you need to make some money. So it's like the kids being put on Ritalin in school with no reason for it. It's the same scam, but it's now become so public and so obvious that, guys, the medical industry is not awash, but it's backing up like anything else. The technology is not being used, which is why this is happening here. Now, let's add another part to the formula, is cost. People can't afford to take their dogs or cats to the vets either because nobody's been making money for 6, 7, 8, 9 months nonstop. And because
of that,
if they
have a job, they're afraid to spend anything.
Yeah, you're afraid to spend, or you're not going to go because you're afraid that you can't trust, and you shouldn't trust the medical industry to do the right thing by you. They are more worried about themselves than they are about treating you or treating you properly. And you
Mark,
can
we
hear
have the same issue with our vet. Our vet, you have to make an appointment way ahead of time, They will not allow you into the building. Uh-oh.
Yeah, and again, we're talking veterinary. We're not talking human. Anyway, guys, for this reason, you're going to have to take care of yourself, and these professions will be broadened out. People will be dealing with it themselves, which they'll try to make it illegal. Mark my word on that. We'll talk about that at 8 o'clock. God bless our republic.
Yes, the New World Order.
We shall prevail, ladies and gentlemen. The empire is on the run.
We are on the march of day and night.
All of us together, people. We're in this together, and we're in this to take care of each other. Prior proper planning prevents piss-poor performance, and you're the people that are the solution. Step up to the plate. We're going to be back in an hour. Meanwhile, Ed taking over. LTR's not going anywhere, and it is Thursday on Liberty Tree Radio. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mark.
And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Saved from the storm, boys, water down its roots with tea. And the sun will always shine on the old Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. March along with the piper, boys, we were born forever free. Let's go pay the piper, boys, beneath the Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Pay the price they're asking, boys, always pay the tyrant's fee. Never give up the struggle, boys, fight for the Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. Stand for the rights of man, boys, stand against all tyranny. Hang the lance of freedom, boys, high on the Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty. It will grow as we grow, boys, it will be as strong as we. We must cling to our faith, boys, faith in the Liberty tree. It's a tall old tree and a strong old tree. And we are the sons, yes, we are the sons of liberty.
This session is no longer being recorded. Goodbye.